Hi, everybody. We will have a session with a short presentation of Geochicas group, what we do, why do we exist, and I will present the result of an international survey we made to understand better the participation of women in the OpenStreetMap community in all the countries and their level of leadership. And after that, I only take 20 minutes, and after that, we will invite you to participate in a brainstorming activity to help us to have ideas and commitments to work on diversity in OpenStreetMap community. So, Geochicas is a group of women from OpenStreetMap Latin America community. It's a young group. We exist for 1 year and a half only. I'm Celine Jacquin, mapeadora in OpenStreetMap. So why this group exists? We are part of a Latin American community, which is a community very active in a Telegram chat, with the participation of more or less 150 people from every country of Latin America. And some days in the occasion of the organization of State of the Map LATAM in Sao Paulo, we realized we were only 5 women in this group expressing ideas, expressing opinion, and participating in the organization of activities. And we realized it might be a problem. It might be an expression of the unbalance of gender's participation in the community. So in this moment, we decided to organize in this same State of the Map in Sao Paulo a first panel and a network of women attending this event to start to think. We just wanted to think. And we also thought about these statements. You all know we don't have really reliable statistic on genders in OpenStreetMap, but we all know this number. It's an estimation that only 3% of OpenStreetMap mappers are women. So we try to think to how to improve this participation and grow women participation in the community. We also started to think that at the data creation level, it can be a real problem to have only the vision of one gender and one profile of people who are white men and North American and European white men making the data, deciding which are the agenda of OpenStreetMap, which are point of interest. So this is the State of the Map in Sao Paulo. In this panel, we invited people from the attendees to sit with us in the table and to talk. It was successful. We all talked about our perception of the problem. A part of the attendees considered that there is no problem with the balance of gender in the community. There is no problem with the data, but we had a good debate. And at the end of this day, we were a group of women with 25 women. We start a chat and we start to dialogue, and we are now 1 year and a half after 150 women in this chat with maybe 30 to 50 women active, expressing, sharing information, promoting the participation in events on OpenStreetMap and on any topic on open technologies and open data in Latin America. This is a map now of the country represented. So we have a large participation in Latin America and also in Spain and other countries of Europe. So the language is Spanish, but we also integrate English if needed. We have also a woman from India. So our objectives in the group is to empower women in the community in order to have more projects led by women. This is point one. And projects focused on women issues in society and daily life is a point two. We want to enlarge the OpenStreetMap Women's Network, so we have a permanent effort in social network to share ideas and to invite women to participate, or just to be observator in the group and benefiting from the information, from the reflection we have there. Having more participation of women in OpenStreetMap and technologies activity, so we try to have in each global state of the map a participation of one Geochicas, and in regional state of the map we also try to have the participation of one or several Geochicas. We also create more spaces in which we can discuss the role, representation and participation of women. So we try to have presence in the events, but we also try to have the type of activities we will have after my presentation, so a reflection panel or a brainstorming activity to make you, community, think about it, not only between women. We also discuss better codes of conduct in the community. And this year and a half, we have led 4 main projects, so I will present them very quickly. The most important for us is the International Gender Representation Survey in OpenStreetMap. I will present it at the end. The Streets of Women, it's a mapping project where we check the balance of names of women and men in the cities. We have participated this last month in a project granted by HOT to map the earthquake recovery and gender violence in the context of crisis in Oaxaca, Mexico, after the earthquake of October 2017. And we have a permanent effort of training, peer-to-peer training in our chat online, peer-to-peer and with allies companies, Mapbox, Carto, and other. So this is the Streets of Women. This is a map of the cities who have participated in the development of the script and the application of this script to their cities. This is an example in Mexico City. So this script only filter and represents the streets in yellow. In yellow you can see the streets with a name of women. So this is, in general, you have a very large gap between men's streets and women's streets. In green, the main streets. And we make the link when we have an article in Wikipedia, we make the link between the name and the article. So we also make a balance of the names that don't have or that have an article in Wikipedia. The second project is a mapping in the crisis context in Oaxaca. So with the micro grant of HOT, we covered with street level images, sent it, upload to Mapillary and OpenStreetCam, almost 15 towns in this zone. The objective is to visualize and to measure the unrecovery of destruction. This zone was very affected by the earthquake, and the state hasn't done a lot, so it's our objective to visualize that. And with more qualitative work and research, we try to investigate the presence of violence, gender events in the community. We are not able now to share definitive results, but in some months, I hope. And we have a permanent effort of training. So we had a course, basic and advancing with Carto. All the courses are saved in YouTube. So in the moment we give the training, we want it to be interactive for women, but at the end it's totally available for anyone. We are about to organize a basic and advanced course with Mapbox. And within the community, we had course on GitHub, QGIS. The technical level is very variable in the community, so we had trainings on very basic tools and very advanced tools, also in coding. And that's it. So now I'll present some of the results of our survey. We have the participation of 250 people from all the world. We translated the survey in 5 languages, which was a little complex to process at the end. This is a map of these countries. The main participants came from United States, Brazil, Spain, and Germany, and United Kingdom, and these other countries. We had a participation of near 57% of men, 40% of women, 1 transgender person, and well, other people who didn't want to communicate that. I read the question. Have you ever felt difficulty expressing your point of view or felt that your knowledge or area of interest were of little relevance compared to the men in your community? So the main part of the women consider that yes, but a good part consider that not, a good part that sometimes. The transgender person also considered that it was difficult. This is answer by men. So have you ever experienced difficulty expressing points of view, knowledge, or area of interest to certain members of your community? The majority consider that no. Have you ever felt hostility from fellow men in the OSM community? So men consider that no. Women consider that sometime or yes. And what did you feel free to communicate what happened when they have felt hostility? So men no, because they don't feel hostility. And women consider that yes, they feel free to communicate, and sometimes, just sometimes. Have you ever felt hostility from fellow mates towards women or towards a gender underrepresented group in the OpenStreetMap community? Men considers that no. That means they don't feel hostility towards themselves, but they don't see hostility toward the other people too. That's interesting to understand. Do you think it's necessary to have certain codes and policies of conduct that favor the majority and both different gender consider that yes, it would be good? Actually, men are most to consider that it would be good. Do you think the OpenStreetMap community has a balanced gender representation? The majority agree to consider that no. And do you think that affects how the data is generated and activities are conducted? The majority consider that yes, but there is not a big difference with the person that consider that no. Do you think the vision of everybody is represented by the geographical elements on the map? So we have the same proportion of answered considering the previous question. They consider that no. And these questions are about participation and leadership. So in the communities, in the local communities, national communities, international communities, and other open code and open data communities, how is the women participation versus the men participation? In general, in each scale of community, people consider that the participation of women is very low, but we can see that in local community, the participation of women is considered a little more important than in other communities, national and international communities. We see the same thing in the leadership representation of women. In general, it is considered that as low and in each community, but in the local community, it tends to be a little more important. So that was a short interpretation of the quantitative data of the survey. This data is available if you want to know it better. And we also had other consideration. So in qualitative questions, I made a short synthesis of opinion. Women tend to comment that the sexist tone in the channels demotivates their participation, talking about mailing lists, chats, and forum. Women feel a systematic target of discrimination in the channel when they express opinions, divergent opinion. The people who make attention calls are usually attacked if they are women and not if they are men. The expression of experience is low accepted. Women are considered in general as novice by default. And they consider we need to define codes, sanctions, and reporting mechanisms. And they propose to have specific calls for participation in activities to empower women, promote women networks and private spaces to have more empowerment, to enhance peer-to-peer trainings, and to have attention to mapping project issues that with impact on women quality of life. The men comment that they consider that discrimination is not based on gender, usually, that it's very clear we have a cultural domination of European and North American men, and that's the more discrimination basis. They feel hostility by a specific profile towards each gender and each people, that is the fanatic mapper, very experimented, versus novice. So they feel that this is the point of the violence and the aggressivity in the OpenStreetMap channels. They consider, in general, that if we don't have a formal impediment to participate, there is no discrimination and there is no unbalanced determined by the community. And that the lack of interest or the lack of participation from women must be respected because it's just a desire. They consider also that they have doubts on the impact in the map of this imbalance and lack of diversity. Their propositions are that we could have attention calls about aggressive tones in the channel, and in general they are ignored. So women are attacked when they call attention, men are ignored. They wouldn't separate gender, but do more participatory activities to invite more people in general to participate, and as an effect, have more women participation, but any other gender and any other community. They consider that working on women is like victimizing women. They prefer to raise awareness in general and focus activity on diversity in general, not just on gender. And both gender consider that hostility is general in OpenStreetMap channel. It generally come from high-level mappers, and it demotivates participation. Everybody agree with that. All gender notice specific hostility toward people asking to change the tone. And the consideration is that we urgently need moderation in channels. We need to advocate for courtesy values more than conduct codes, and awareness on integration and support to novices. A need for integration of diversity in general, not based in gender. Having an inclusive language and defend an inclusive language, define codes, sometimes define codes of conduct, and having awareness against hierarchies between advanced mappers and novices, and between different cultures. That's it. So I invite you now to participate in a brainstorming we will do. We will put there material to think together. Heather will help me to explain the activity. So please, don't leave. Yeah. If you have a question, maybe I can give 10 minutes while we install the material.
Sure.
Yeah?
First, just a real round of applause for Geochicas. I mean, it's really important. And so thank you. Thank you. So questions, you said? Questions before we start? Questions, comments, hands? Hi, Rory.
Hi, yeah, again, thanks, you're doing great stuff, and you kind of covered some of this, but I think it's important to remember we should be inclusive of non-binary genders as well, so it's not just two, there's people who aren't men and aren't women, so I think it's nice to do that. I mean, you do cover some of that. You had in your survey, I can't remember how it was actually written, but you presented it as men, women, and transgender, which is not a gender. That's not how it, but I think that was in the results, so just, yeah, that's not great. Another advice I'd have with, if you're doing a thing for women, it might be handy sometimes to say like trans women are women, just to remind people that that's how you stand on that. So that's good. And I suppose, I agree that code of conducts are great, and I'm on a list that has one, and I think it's important to remember to know how they work and what they mean. So societal education is good. Otherwise, it's just a bit of paper. And okay, I'm going to go there. For example, the Hot Summit is taking place in a place where it's illegal to be gay, and they thought it was a safe space and claimed it would be a safe place for LGBTQ people, which in my opinion means they don't know what that means. So I think just having a code of conduct is often not enough. You sort of everyone needs to know what it means. It's like education and the community about what we want to do and all that. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, we had this debate in the group at the start of developing the survey. The survey in the beginning was out to Latin America, and we decided to start the dialogue with men and women because the reflection is so low developed at this moment that it was the first step. But I agree it's a weakness.
If there are other questions.
I think we may improve it because it's a little short, it's a little simple. I was a little disappointed about the answers, the number of answers, because we translated in 5 languages and we only had, except in English and Spanish, we had less than 20 answers. So I think it's a big question to develop a survey and to think about the diffusion of it, and maybe we could ask for help of the foundation. It's a good idea. Yeah, it would be good.
So when we talk about diversity, is gender diversity meant, or should be understood in more broad sense?
Sorry, can you repeat?
If we talk about diversity, is it only gender diversity meant?
The survey, yes, is about gender diversity. I agree there are other diversity questions, but it's about gender. Maybe we can, if you have other questions, I can chat with you after. We can start the brainstorming session.
Again, thanks to Celine and to the Geochicas. So she asked us to, well, we decided that we would try and collaborate a bit. Over the last days, we've had a number of conversations about community in a number of different sessions. And I think there's some really bright ideas about how we might grow OpenStreetMap, not just in terms of gender diversity, but in terms of other kinds of diversity, whether it be global community or language. And so there's an exercise that we've done before in other communities, and I thought it might be helpful for us to have that, more productive. And let me tell you what will happen with it. I'll tell you about the exercise. Jost is not here right now, but he's going to hold a Birds of a Feather tomorrow. So the discussion is, again, we're going to come up with some brainstorm ideas, and then the discussion tomorrow will be more about what do we do with that. And so just know that there's a few of us kind of co-working to try and kind of keep the vibe in the conversation. So there are sticky notes by different colors. Okay? And so what will happen with this data that we're going to collect from you? We're going to document it and give it back to you. That's 1. 2, so there's a sticky note that says, I will, which is a statement around what will you do in this community. It could be small. It could be like, you know what, I'm going to monitor my own tone and be positive. That's a Heatherism, okay? Or I will talk to my local chapter and ask them how they feel or what they think is important. Another one example, so that's 1 color sticky note. The next one, thanks Kate for demoing. The next one is, we should stop. Okay, so there's some things that we think we should work on, right? So what should we stop as a collective community? And the last one is, we should continue, or we should start, right? So these are kind of 3 actions. And so we're going to use these boards because, thank you for hacking the system here. So statements, it's more statements. So you can make a sentence with a verb and a noun if you so choose. If you put it in another language, we can use Google Translate to translate that if we don't know the language, but feel free because we are from different folks in different places, and I'm sorry I only speak English and some really poor French. So the actions are pink for I will do, blue for we should stop, and yellow or green, because I think there's yellow and green, for we should start or we should continue. So we're after lunch, so we thought we'd get you up. So if you want to stand up, I know we have to ask you to divorce your laptops and devices. You could say it, or we could write it for you. Or you could write it. You could write it yourself. If you want to write it in private yourself, and then we just put it on the board, that's cool too. We want to kind of honor how you want to transact. So how would you like to do this? Would you like to come on up? Would you like to come on up, or would you like some sticky notes at your desks? Yes, no. Yeah. Yeah.
You can do either.
Yeah. Okay, so
If you are very compelled to speak, raise your hand. You can say it and put it up. If you want a sticky note, raise your hand and let me bring them to you.
all right, can you help us then? Can we have a couple of helpers to pass them around? Because there's 3 colors, and it's going to take a little bit. And yeah, let's do it anonymously, then we'll just make a stack. So I want to honor everyone's privacy. I forget that I'm a little bit of a loudmouth. I'm okay saying everything aloud. You've seen my posts. I want to honor that. Anybody else want to say something? Okay. Would you like some sticky notes? Okay. Hello, my hot tribe. Seriously, so happy you're here. Thank you. Hi, guys. What we could learn from Gavo? Tell me. En français, ok? Oui? Ok? Dis-moi.
On veut qu'on pense que...
Oui, oui. Pour la... Okay, here, go ahead. So once we write all these ideas out, or some ideas around what we should do, what we should stop, and what we should continue, we can read some of them out, but we could also ask the question, what's missing? You know, or what should we add? And so these ideas, again, are going to go into a BOF tomorrow, Birds of a Feather, and then we have some ideas of what we might do with it next in terms of how to improve. How are we doing? We need some more colors over here. I think we're out of the blue, and over here I've only hit them with the pink, so if you have, thanks Gregory, much appreciated. Are we out of any particular color? Because I have some backup orange. Thank you very much. Got colors, things. Cheers. Nobody told you we'd ask you to do deep thinking here, right? I usually make people stand up and dance, or ask them nicely, actually. Sticky notes don't have feelings. You're more than welcome to destroy as many as you like so that I don't have to carry them back to Geneva. Thank you. Oh, you want me to use the mic? Oh. All right. So did you want us to read these for you, or did you want to come up and read? Just read, sit down. All right. That's what I see. Okay. My friends who are here, who wants to guest speak? Hey, Janet. No? Okay. No, just some highlights. Well, I think they want to become. Yeah, so okay, so maybe you can read, there's live stream. Do you want to read the we should? Okay.
Okay, we should start or continue. To recognize if you're doing more harm than good when providing your own agenda. We all come to the community for different reasons, stay for different reasons, and care about different things. But sometimes you have to pause and appreciate others' value before chastising them. We should continue raising awareness on this issue. We should start including other sectors, such as children and PWDs, to be more visible on the map. We should continue to improve our openness towards newcomers. We should promote our allies. We should continue supporting initiatives like Let Girls Map and OSM Girls. We should do the survey every year, talking about success and progress, not dragging back up old mistakes, particularly if people have made effort to change and be more inclusive. Having safe spaces for women to chat and collaborate, talk and help each other discuss and tackle similar issues being faced. We should continue considering the LGBTQIA in our own mapping projects. There's more than two genders and all are important. Hearing each other out, even if you don't agree with the person. Continue marketing OSM to special interest groups that have a more balanced makeup. Focus more effort on the racial inequality that exists, preventing marginalized communities and communities of color from joining the OSM community. I.e., get involved in STEM or high school education, i.e., programs that target education for low-income, marginalized communities. OSM girls should continue. Tell specific people that we value their story. Tell them to submit a talk to the conference. Add a new tag to define the gender of the names of the elements, example, street names. Insist on respectful language, parentheses, moderation. OSM girls should continue. We should formalize a code of conduct. We should have a safe place to report code of conduct issues. Appoint moderators on mailing lists. We should have diversity as an ongoing topic and set goals. We should start a formal and confidential way to report harassment in or on OSM. Be mindful of how inclusion of one group for a particular program element might exclude other marginalized groups. Continue to actively engage with all minorities to increase profile. Appreciate more other people from other cultures. Give the mic to a woman first at every Q&A session at State of the Map. Having regular surveys on this. Have a shorthand for calling out our microaggressions, similar to +1, likes, up, down, vote, etc. Rationale. Some small minor cases of discrimination come from ignorance, carelessness, rather than outright malice. Calling those out is justified, but unfortunately sometimes raises tensions rather than diffuses them. We should start having chapters per country of Geochicas. Regional Mapathon Month. Example, Maptober. We should start having a funding board where groups can highlight projects which need funding. Some of us might be able to help them out. Particularly, this will help all genders seek equal access. Excellent.
So we're doing a lot of things, and there's a lot of good ideas there. And I asked Rory to be our "we should stop" so he can do the grr voice.
Oh dear. Okay. Okay, we should stop. This is like, you know, when you're on Twitter, the opinions are not the opinions of my employer, i.e. me. We should stop coddling rudeness / excusing rudeness. Yeah, that's a good point. We should stop ranking edits and publishing this as a way of showing commitment to the cause. We're all volunteers, but maybe our skills are also diverse. Useful and toxic discussions / retaliation to different points of view. Yeah, we should stop unuseful. Sorry. We should stop looking at OSM as a tech project. We should stop making personal attacks and instead listen to what others have to say. We should stop judging other members on their motives. We should stop I can't read that. Disengaging other genders on the maps? I'm not sure what that says. We should stop using abusive language when communicating. We should stop focusing on gender division and start looking at diversity as a broader conversation. Well, that's kind of intersectionality right there. We should stop pretending it isn't a problem. I can't read that. We should stop generalizing on nationality. Yeah, well, intersectionality there. We should, sorry, I probably shouldn't give my own comments. These are my comments. We should stop pointing fingers and stereotyping whole organizations/groups as representative of everyone's opinion. We should stop paying OSMF member dues until there is a way to report harassment. Well, I think you can just, yeah, I think you can do that anyway, but we should stop making other people uneasy, encourage participation. We all have different points of interest. We should stop repeatedly, and that's underlined, raising past mistakes when people are trying their absolute hardest to address issues. There are lots of more positive ways to participate. We should stop conflating OSM issues with OSS, open source software, developer community issues. This binds us to the, quote, women in tech, end quote, issues that are not general OSM issues. And then we should stop compromising on the rights of marginalized people and have zero tolerance for discrimination. Yeah, so that's them.
It's hard, isn't it?
Well, when you're just reading something out.
It's hard. And you're writing. Maybe we should have writing class. It's your turn. Just gonna read the I will do things. How you doing? Are you napping yet? No? I'm not making you dance. I'm not asking you to dance. Right? I can't make you do anything.
So, I start. I will notice diversity and lack of diversity where I did not think of it in the past. I will think about how I'm privileged and listen to the marginalized voices. I will look up whether OSM already has a code of conduct, collaborate on a community group, call out code of conduct issues on mailing lists, Slack, IRC, etc. Hold more women in OpenStreetMap mapping parties. I will make a strong effort to bring more diversities, gender and other to OpenStreetMap community. I will pointing out clearly when the tone turns unacceptable. I will do more ease of use tool for community. I will listen to the concern of women in OpenStreetMap. I will do advocate mapping activities on mapathons that will encourage inclusive participation of all genders and sectors. I will join my local chapter and my community of country of origin to increase women presence. I will treat others with respect and follow code of conduct, more involved in discussions. I will make safe spaces and places for the LGBTQIA as part of including diversity in OpenStreetMap and in helping the community as well. I will encourage more women in my community to join and participate in OpenStreetMap. This was read, yeah. If we stop to insulting men, women role model is the most important way to strengthen women. Okay, so we will close this activity, inviting you to join, to continue the debate, joining the mailing list of diversity that the Foundation has. Everybody has to join the mailing list? Yeah, okay. And for female gender, you can integrate Geochicas too. The main language is Spanish, but we always switch to English when necessary. And we would like to build a working group on gender. So the mailing list on diversity is important to start to share specific ideas to start on working on that. Do you want to add something?
A working group on community?
Yeah.
Okay.
On diversity.
On diversity? On community? On all of those things? All right. So we have 2 minutes, right? So I thought we could just thank Geochicas again for starting fires. And thank each of you for thinking about what we will do, large or small, what we should stop, and what we should start to continue. You're more than welcome to come by and take a look. Again, I will document this and I'll share it on the diversity mailing list. And as well, Joss is going to have a session on community building tomorrow, so we'll give him that intel on what we learned here today. But just thanks for being present, and if you have any reflections or further questions for Geochicas or for Celine, you're more than welcome to ask as well. Comments, questions, reflections, coffee, COFFEE. It's not coffee? Is this a little machine?
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jeanette.